Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to the Suit Up Geek Fix podcast, the variant version of the multiverse. Holy moly, what a finale. We are here to review the season finale of Loki, episode 6, for all time, always. With me, as always, is Dibes, our co-host at the Suit Up Geek Fix podcast, and we have a special guest tonight, Mr. Gabe from Film Opinionitis. How you doing, Gabe?
What's up, guys? Can't wait to talk about this. I really want to talk about this episode, so thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure, sir. Thank you for joining. It's a pleasure to have you, man. So, without further ado, spoiler alert! This will be a spoiler-filled discussion. If you haven't watched it yet, please hop on Disney Plus and watch that finale. What are you doing? Especially if you love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, with that being said, guys, let's just jump into our initial impressions. Insert the gift of that kid, like, oh my god, that was me for like 20 minutes. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. This was a monumental, groundbreaking moment for the MCU. Gabe, I actually want to see what your thoughts on this. What was your initial impressions of this episode?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. As I wrote in my review, but these shows are just going to be setting up the movies to come, and they're not going to like have a complete story at any point. So now I've made my peace with that. I enjoy this episode. I'll have more thoughts later, but overall, I thought it was fun. I love the cinematography, especially like the set design. All those things were like the music, amazing.
I know, Dibes. Could we say Natalie Holt is the MVP right now?
She's up there, man. I've been praising her every single week here, and it's just gotten better and better and better as the season progressed. But Natalie Holt deserves so much credit, man. She's terrific.
We're not worthy, Miss Natalie Holt. You are doing fantastic. So, Dibes, give us your initial impressions of this epic episode.
For MCU fans across the world, like I think we can all finally understand why we haven't gotten that Spider-Man No Way Home trailer yet. I've been on them and be like, why are we getting that Spider-Man trailer? And sure enough, it all makes sense now because of course they would never drop that with everything we just saw. I will eat crow, Loretto, and admit that I was shocked. I did not think they would actually introduce Kang in the finale. I said Kang from episode 1, Kang. But after episode 5, I was like, there's too much going on here to actually go there. And man, did they go there. Kang has entered the building. It was awesome, man. It was like, truthfully, like I've had a lot of misses. I've had Mephisto in WandaVision. I've had Reed Richards in WandaVision. There's been a lot of misses, but this one I nailed. And welcome to the freaking multiverse of madness, Gabe and Loretto. Ladies and gentlemen, the MCU will be changed forever. The finale was literally built up as this like Kang origin story. Sylvie unleashing him into the multiverse. Quite possibly the most important thing that has happened to date. There's just so much to talk about as we will. But Kang's introduction being his death is the most fucking brilliant way to introduce this new menacing villain. The fact that he was ready to die and, actually wanted to save everyone else from himself is the most badass way to introduce and go from Thanos to here and start, introducing these new amazing characters. I have so much to talk about here, but top to bottom, you talked about Natalie Holt. Just an amazing finale that cemented it as the best MCU series, period.
Hey, well said, man. Very eloquently said, Mr. Crockpot. I gotta say, so if Natalie Holt to me, because she's wonderful, if she's the MVP of the series, arguably, Jonathan Majors is such an inspired piece of casting. He signed a multi-picture deal. And if you guys aren't familiar with his work, please go on Amazon Prime, watch The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Please watch Lovecraft Country. Or if you haven't yet, watch Defy Bloods on Netflix. Jonathan Majors does wonders with the little work that he was given previously. And I'm so happy for an actor as talented as himself to shine. His charismatic goofy, kind of awkward King was very much like, it was a very warm, inviting character, but also, there's something underlying beneath. And like you said, Dives, it was such a deep thought to think of how many versions he's fighting with himself. And out of all of the ones, it was he who remains. I loved the phrasing of that. Very well written series through and through. I have to disagree with you though, Gabe. I don't think this is a glorified trailer simply because I believe that Loki had a very complete arc. He started from the 2012 loss. The Avengers kicked his ass. He took the Tesseract, got arrested by the TVA. And by the end of this 6-episode season, he was a changed person and his eyes are open to a whole new realm of possibilities. And I feel like Loki very much had a beginning, middle, and end, despite other characters possibly taking the spotlight from him. Just in my opinion, his story arc felt complete to me.
But to that point, I mean, this is getting to the technicals of this stuff, and I don't know if it's worth it to go that deep here. But like, this isn't the Loki that was in every movie after Avengers, the first Avengers, right? So the other Loki already had his arc, and he became, he learned how to like be, closer to Thor, and he learned not to always care about himself. So he already had that thing. So here they kind of make it is an arc in the interest of the series of learning to care for somebody else. But I like, and this is not saying there was no arc, I'm actually saying I liked it. He learned to care for somebody else, but that somebody else was himself, just in another person, which was like extremely like Loki. So I love that. I mean, I like that. It just plot-wise, nothing.
No, did we lose him?
I don't know. You still there, Gabe? Oh, geez. All right. Well,
he's back.
I'm back.
You're back. Okay, continue.
Where did I don't know. Well, anyway, in this sense, I like where they went with that, but plot-wise, nothing is resolved. I mean, all they did is like this. It's like a chessboard. They just put the chessboard for the next movie to take over. I mean, that's what it is. This could be like, when they did like prequels to like book prequels before a movie. Like the prequel might be fun, but it's not the movie. And this one was if all prequels were like this, right? But it's still a prequel.
Right. So it's just minor nitpicks, right? We'll dig more into that later. But with that being said, man, shoot us some of your favorite moment of the episode. Which stuck out to you, man?
To me?
Yes, Gabe.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the back and forth between Mobius and I'm forgetting Ravenna. I really liked that back and forth throughout the series. I like that they went here and I like that. I love when she was like, "You can't kill me" or something. He's like, "Just watch me" or something, and then he just like beats him like with one punch. That was amazing. And I liked the last moment. Like I loved particularly like Tom Hiddleston's performance, like kind of like telling them like this is happening. He's like, this person is doing this, like we need to prepare. Like he's just like losing it, right? And again, we were I don't want to steal your pop culture reference, but we were talking about what movie this is similar to right before we started.
Go right ahead.
I mean, I'll let you do it. But I love that final moment. Tom Hiddleston's performance throughout the series was great, but that moment to me just stuck with me.
Awesome. What about you, Dives? Memorable moments. What was your favorite of this finale? There's
so many. You could talk about, the fight scene between Sylvie and Loki. The fight choreography has not been that great in this series. I thought they absolutely nailed it in this finale. It was really, really strong. The fact that, it resulted in Sylvie kissing Loki and then throwing him back through a temp pad, and then only for Loki to be alone again is the most like tragic thing. Like it told us from the beginning that was going to happen. But I love how they're setting up the seeds for that, which we actually talked about in our reviews, that maybe season 2, it's Loki, on the search for Sylvie, finding his, one true love. I love that entire concept. We could talk about the multiverse branching out. which was unbelievable. That was the most exciting moment I've had. I would argue it's better than the snap. I would say it's way better than the Thanos Infinity War snap because everyone knew their contracts. Everyone knew everyone. That's why Kevin Feige just came out and said, we're done with announcing these long-term contracts. We're not going to make that publicly known anymore because everybody knew Spider-Man was coming back. Everybody knew that all these characters were coming back. Come on, let's get real here. But that multiverse thing, when they're showing all these different branches, that was just so nerdgasmic, if that's a word. It was just, for me, just my head where I love to talk about X-Men and Fantastic Four and all these different things. I loved how we got a villain origin story here, which I wrote in my write-up, where that opens up the door for maybe Dr. Doom on a Disney Plus series going down the line, which is incredibly exciting. I've been pounding the table for a Dr. Doom origin story for years, before you, Loretto, on this podcast. So that's exciting. But the best moment of this series, hands down, was the introduction of Kang. There's no question, for me at least. I just thought, for me going into this, like AJ knows a lot more about Kang than I do. And it was totally different than anything I expected. I was expecting Kang to be like kind of stoic and menacing. And here you have this like eccentric jokester that could go from like that to terrifying in a flip of a switch. And that was really fun. The fact that we didn't even get the real Kang yet, this was like literally the nicest one. It just sets the stage for Jonathan Majors just to really display his range of acting. Like I wrote in my review, we're going to get, Kang the aerospace engineer. We're going to get that Stan Lee cameo Kang in every single movie moving forward. It's going to be a ton of fun. And it all starts with Kang, played by Jonathan Majors. So he is going to have this humongous role in the Phase 4. This was the launching port in the Phase 4. And the fact that we're building villains up rather than heroes, from square one, like we were back in Phase 1, is just so incredibly exciting.
Hey, I couldn't said it better myself, man. And I like that you brought up Dr. Doom, because I think one of the one of the best moments of just experiencing Loki is the mystery and the intrigue of not knowing what's going to happen next. And I think going into the Citadel, when you see those hooded statues, my mind was a flutter. I was like, wait, is this Doom? Is this Baron Mordo that captured a time stone, a timepiece from a different dimension? I was just swirling with thoughts, and until we finally got Kang. So that the buildup was incredible. But for me, I'll do a quick honorable mention to the intro. Seeing the Marvel logo with the quotes.
I have it. Can we watch it? Can we just?
You have it?
Yeah, I have it. Did this not set up, like when you saw this was like that, like, oh shit, it's going down.
Yeah, it set the table for what Phase 4 could be. I'm actually really glad you got this. Thank you, Dives.
Did you hear the music? Oh, just goosebumps, man.
You wouldn't have heard of me. Dance off, bro. Your friend from work. I can do this all day. Yeah, I know. I'll show you for us.
Higher, further, faster, baby.
We have to resurrect. We're gonna jump on that spaceship and get out of that was cocky.
I love how the subtitle guy just gave up.
Just
just wait for undistinguishable chatter or something.
Yeah, no, and I'm actually really glad there's subtitles. You can actually see the context of what everyone's saying. For people that maybe it went too quick for them, Chef's Kiss, the music from the end game, and then seeing all the quotes, seeing the logo, and then seeing the multiverses like intact next to each other, stacked, and seeing the branches come off. That was just such a inspiring moment. I swear, when the branch came off, I could see the X-Men already. I was just like, oh my god, this is how it happens. So nerdgasmic is a very appropriate word. I think AJ would appreciate that. I wish he was with us. But actually, the moment I wanted to call out, because of course we're all excited to see Kang, but the moment that was warm to my heart was you saw last week. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know if you remember, Gabe, but I was like, "Kiss the girl," like Little Mermaid. Don't be scared. They kissed. I was like, yes. But like you said, Dives, it was such a tragic moment because it was a kiss and a bye. But how fitting it is for Loki to fall in love with a version of himself. I'm tickled with how appropriate that is, but also because Sophia DiMartino is just doing a great job as Lady Loki or whatever you want to call her, Sylvie. So those are my favorite moments. Now let's kind of dig into where this is going. Obviously, the multiverse opens doors upon doors upon doors, a Pandora's box, if you will, of where the MCU could go. It's like the options are limitless now. They kicked the door down of comic book movies and like, hey, this is going down. This is how you do it. Take notes, DC. Take notes, WB, because look at how they built this with 23 films and where they could go with so many more films. It's just truly remarkable, cinematic wise, film history wise. This is just insane with what they could do. Unprecedented. Exactly. So Gabe, you got any interesting theories? I know you're not too much of a comic guy, right?
No, not at all. I mean, to your point, I just was like, I mean, I had a moment actually when I was watching this, and they walk into the Citadel, and the first thing they see is a cartoon clock. And I had a moment when I was like, how are we in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at a point where we can just see two characters entering the Citadel of all time, and they talk to a cartoon clock, and we're like, yeah, I mean, right? And then 4 days ago, whenever we watched Black Widow, and it was a completely different thing, and we're like, yeah, but it's it's the same. It's. I mean, that's why I was saying I don't think anybody's going to be able to do this again. Like, because for example, if you compare, I mean, the comparisons suck, but like, there's that moment in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which I like. This is not like crapping on that movie, but there's a moment where Ray Fisher is like with a pile of digital money, kind of like putting money on some lady's account. Remember? And I remember thinking like, that's too dumb. I was like, I know what they're doing, but that's a dumb visual aid. Anyway, on this side it works. Over there, it's kind of dumb. Theories. I have one. I have one. I don't know if it's like a big one, but I believe that in the post-credit scene for WandaVision, where we believe she sees the kids, right? Her children, is... Did I lose you? Oh.
No, you're good. You're good.
Oh, we are just patiently listening and interested.
No, you actually froze on my screen. That moment where she's like, and sees her kids, I think that's the moment where the timelines branch. And she gets that insight.
Yeah, no, it's there's so much to wrap our heads around. Dives, I'm gonna let you take the floor. I know you've got a bunch. I can't wait to hear it, man. What you got for us?
So, like Gabe said, like it could go anywhere. This could go absolutely anywhere. Anybody that says like they know where this is going is lying straight out of their ass. Because it could go anywhere. But the clear what I want to say, what I want to see is the buildup of Secret Wars being, implanted on the big screen on Disney Plus, building up all these stories. We saw kind of the main plot of Falcon and the Winter Soldier building up the Thunderbolts, a team of villains. We see, possibly the origin story of Kang, and having Kang be the central figure all throughout the next wave of films and TV shows. You're going to see variants of Kang everywhere, I think. That really, truly where I want to see this go. And when you think about like, how do you one up Avengers Infinity War? How do you one up Avengers Endgame? It is Doctor Doom. It is 100% Doctor Doom. And what I want to see is Kang being like the main villain, main baddie of Phase 4. And I wrote this in my route. I think this is like the first stepping stone to an Avengers film. Not next year, like down the road, where Kang is this big bad for Phase 4. But that is going to be the next stepping stone to what is Doctor Doom in Secret Wars. I think that is pretty much a near lock. The fact that Feige's throwing us all these like little nuggets about villains, let's be honest, like outside of Hela, Killmonger, which were both one-offs, Adrian Toomes was fun in Homecoming. He's gone, although he probably is coming back. And then you have Thanos, which was elite. The fact that they're like taking kind of pages out of the DC Comics book and gonna like focus on building up these amazing villains is really, really fun, because like it's not crazy that Kang is going to be fighting alongside the Avengers to stop Doctor Doom or something along those lines. There's just worlds of possibilities. So I think if I were to bet that it's like, because I thought Kang was going to be in Ant-Man 3. I think you're going to see Kang in Spider-Man. I think there's just going to be like little cameos and like nods every single way you could ever imagine. And that's a big reason why we haven't seen a trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. I think this is all part of it. So kudos to Kevin Feige for keeping this all under the wraps. It's just crazy. There's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to begin. But it's Kang season. But this is this is my Joker for DC is Doctor Doom. And the fact that we're like getting this much closer to something like that happening, I do think it opens up the possibility of a Doctor Doom Disney Plus series. So it is just crazy. It's just what a time. What a time to be alive.
Did any of you guys ever watch the show Fringe?
Oh, it's one of my favorite shows, man. I love that show.
I'm not.
Well, for Fringe, there was this character called the Observer, right? And it turned out there were like millions of observers, but there was this one observer, and he didn't become a plot point until like the end of the first season. And then they explained that he was just the guy observing all these supernatural phenomena around the world.
Yeah.
But then they didn't reveal it until the end of the first season. But then when you go back and rewatch the first season, he's like all over the place. Like if you're looking for him, he's there. So in that sense, I think the Kang situation could have benefited from having an unknown played Kang and just have him show up for years before this.
Here's where I'll counter that. Like, could you imagine if like Kevin Feige was so freaking ahead of the game where Jonathan Majors was in all these pictures and we just never noticed it? But I will say,
amazing.
I am a little kind of like, if I'm gonna nitpick here, I would have loved to not know that Kang and Jonathan Majors was cast for Ant-Man 3, because that would have been just like, because he called himself. He didn't really say he was Kang. He was more Immortus. In this finale, but like that would have been such a more fun moment in this finale if we didn't know that Jonathan Majors was in this, or we didn't know that Kang was going down the road. I think that's a big part of why Kevin Feige is not doing these contracts anymore, because it ruins it. So if that was if I'm gonna nitpick, I would have loved to be like geeking out about, oh my god, who could this be? I mean, it was pretty clear, like with the colors and the costumes, it was Kang. But it's just tons of fun, man. And then the fact that they're getting season 2 of this, the possibilities are crazy, just crazy.
And to your point, as a diehard Spider-Man fan, my number one Marvel hero, that's why I don't like any of the rumors. I hate it. I don't want to hear who's cast. I don't want to hear that Alfred Molina's coming back. Like, let me enjoy it in the theater, damn it. Like, I don't need to know that. Like, 100%. we saw Andrew Garfield on the set. Like, I don't care. Just give me the movie. I don't want to know Andrew Garfield was on the freaking set of No Way Home. But with that being said, I love the Doctor Doom thought, but I want to do you one better, because to your point, no, it's not a competition. But to your point, if you're gonna up Thanos and outdo Endgame to speak, if we're leading to Secret Wars, we have to somehow build to Galactus. I think that's on the table. And Galactus and Doctor Doom were a part of the original Secret Wars run. And if they kind of mix Kang into the mix on the way, I think like we've been saying, there's just so many ways this could go. But I think of proper Galactus, not like a funny cloud like in the 2000s Rise of the Silver Surfer. That was awful. I'm talking about real Galactus, the big planet-eating Galactus. That would be fantastic. And just to say, we're gonna get Eternals at the end of the year. Who's to say we're not going to go even more cosmic, especially with Guardians 3 coming, possibly Adam Warlock making an appearance in that as well. So with that being said, guys, we really dug into a lot of where Loki could go. Let's grade the finale. I'll start with you, Gabe. And where would you rank it amongst the other 2 shows that we got this year?
Is it a like 1 to 10 scale?
Yeah.
Or
And then
ABC?
overall, if you want to just grade the series overall, just, if you want to talk about that way too.
Yeah, I mean the episode, to me was 7.5. Enjoyable, but not like I didn't lose my mind. And I'll get to some of the things I didn't like when we start like having that conversation. The series, I would give it a 9 because I just thought it was brilliant. I thought the visuals just. Again, it was insanity. I love like there was an alligator Loki. Are you kidding? Like it's just like random stuff just show up, and I love that. I love Tom Hiddleston. I actually thought he had given everything he had to give to the character because he's been in so many movies, and we talked about the arc. Like it just felt like, but no, he brought in a lot, and they brought in new characters, and that was great. Where does it rank with the other 3? I think I liked WandaVision more than I liked this. Because WandaVision, I couldn't stop thinking about it between episodes. Like, I was like, oh, shit, what's going to happen? Like, what is this thing? Like, what did this happen? This one, I was like, I want to watch, but I wasn't, like, thinking about it all week. But they're really close. They're both great. I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier is a far third. Very far.
Throwing distance far? How about you, Dives, man? How would you grade the finale, grade the entire series, and where would you rank it amongst the other 3 Disney Plus Marvel shows?
To take a page out of AJ, it's a fucking 10. It's a straight 10 out of 10. The episode, the finale was just something that my jaw was dropped. What I love about WandaVision is that like it had me thinking all the time. It was a show where I couldn't stop, talking about it with friends. I couldn't stop creating new theories that were majority were wrong. It was just a ton of fun. That's what this did. That's what this did here in the finale. And you're right, Gabe. Like this is truly, not like WandaVision, which had a solid beginning, middle, and end. You look at Falcon and Winter Soldier, a linear story. Then you have Loki, which is like kind of weird. But the weirder it got, the more fun it got. And it's just opening the door to so many other, like we talk about Kang making an appearance in all these different movies and TV shows down the line. Loki could be freaking everywhere moving forward. He could be everywhere. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So for me, I would go Loki number 1. Just top to bottom, music, cinematography, acting, Tom Hiddleston, my goodness, just powerhouse performance. That scene where he's like spilling his heart out to Mobius at the end, and Mobius has no idea who he is. Absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. Then you have
movie analogy. Say the movie analogy. Nobody said it.
I'll wait for Loretta. And then you have WandaVision, which was this beautiful Romeo and Juliet. Not Romeo and Juliet. Yeah. It was just a tragic love story that you saw coming. It was a train wreck of emotions, and they nailed it. It was just an effective story, top start to finish. Falcon and Winter Soldier, which it's really funny. I kind of take a step back because like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I came into this, that was my number 1. Coming into like that was like when they announced all these TV shows, that was my number 1. Miss Marvel was number 2, and then it was all the rest of these shows. And it turns out that Loki was my number 1 now. WandaVision is my number 2, and Falcon and Winter Soldier is a clear distance. It is. I can't deny that. But the fact that like so much credit needs to be given to like Kevin Feige. Like you have WandaVision, it's set up Scarlet Witch as the mightiest Avenger. So much fun. The fact that it made me that much more excited for Captain Marvel 2 is an amazing accomplishment in itself. You got Photon, Kamala Khan, and all that drama between Photon and Captain Marvel. Infinitely more interested in that movie now. And I had no interest in that where we were before WandaVision started. Now you have this with Loki, and you have no idea where we could go with season 2, and you have infinite possibilities where the MCU Phase 4 could go, with Kang leading the way, like a true villain, a true Joker-esque type of amazing villain with tons of range. Just what a time. So that's my ranking. I'll give it a 10 out of 10.
Epic. And I hate to kind of just jump on the bandwagon here, but I'll drop it a little bit just because it was a little bit almost anticlimactic after the reveal of Jonathan Majors. But overall, I'll give the finale like a 9.1. It was highly enjoyable. I got my kiss. I was rooting for it last episode. Just to hit your point, Gabe, that ending was a hell of a cliffhanger, a la Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Seeing the Lincoln Memorial with a monkey head, or even like Back to the Future Part 2, where Doc and Marty go to the alternate 1985. That stuff speaks to me. And to paraphrase Star-Lord, I like weird shit. So like Ragnarok, Guardians Volume 2, those are like in my top 5. Loki just speaks to my heart. Go ahead, Dubs.
Did anybody else get that Peter Quill moment from Sylvie when she like stabbed Kang in the chest? And I was like, that same kind of like Peter Quill moment, like when he took the gauntlet, or he got upset when they were trying to take the gauntlet off. I was like, no!
Yeah, like what did you do? And then she even had that look of remorse, like what did I do? Because it's like she's just there by herself, and it's like, oh shit, did I just fuck up?
Great performance.
Oh yeah, Sophia, the whole cast, and I think that's Loki's strength. So overall, the series I was overjoyed with. The TVA. I don't know if you caught this on the premiere, Gabe, but I referenced TVA. Kind of reminded me of Beetlejuice when you're in the afterlife.
Oh, yeah, yes.
And then you take a number, and it's all organized. Like, oh,
it's the same thing.
Now,
it's all
and it's like, now that you're a ghost, you got to do some paperwork, and I got to set up a case. Just
makes me
brilliant.
love it even more. Makes me love it even more.
Taking time and putting it into like a corporate structure was just wonderful.
But like extremely bureaucratic corporate structure, like
yes, and then the guy with the stack of papers. Here's everything you ever said. Please sign here.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff that really engaged me with this series. From top to bottom, I was overjoyed, and for that reason, Loki is also my favorite MCU show so far. With WandaVision, okay, there was some mystery there, but I wish they dove into the horror a little more. With Loki, it was so batshit crazy. I literally didn't know where we were going to go from episode to episode. So to Gabe's point, it made me think about it a lot. Like, after Lamentis, I was like, what are we going to do now? After the alligator post-credit scene, like, what the hell is that alligator going to do? It kept me on my toes. Go ahead, Dubs.
Did anyone catch how Kang referenced himself as the devil? And the entire time I heard that, I was like, I just want to like punch Kevin Feige in his perfect teeth. Like, he was clearly joking that, like, because how many times did we talk about Mephisto in WandaVision? How many times did we bring that up? It was ad nauseum. It became a running joke in itself.
Well, it also made me wonder in the first episode when we see the church and the little girl points at the devil in the glass. I feel like that was a nod to fan theories. Like, I feel like that's what that was. So, like I said, the amazing cast of Gugu Mbatha Raw, B15. Oh my god, I forgot her name. Wunki Monroe or something like that. I can't pronounce it. Forgive me.
Amazing.
Owen Wilson and Connor Strong. What was that?
Wunmi Mosaku, I think is her name.
Wunmi Mosaku. She is great. She was also in Lovecraft Country. And Tara Strong. If you guys don't know Tara Strong, Raven from Teen Titans. She's an iconic voice actress, and God, her Miss Minutes was so. You know what? For a second there, I thought she was the villain. I was like, oh, there it is. She's the bad guy. But then she was like, well, he would like to speak to you. I think it got really more interesting in the finale. So long story short, Loki's my number one. WandaVision was a good second. It was refreshing. What I like about both shows is that it took a detour from what we're used to seeing. It refreshed what we thought Marvel properties could be. In my opinion, they took some very like risky decisions in terms of their storytelling. So I loved it. Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I actually agree with you, Gabe. It's like, you know, a couple stones throws away from those two shows. Minus some moments I loved. I didn't care for the writing of that show, but with all that being said, this is really exciting for the MCU going forward. I think Loki and WandaVision they show that there's more stories to be told other than what we see on screen, and I'm just so excited to see what else is to come. Because I remember, Dives, when we did the Disney Investors Day and we were previewing all what was coming. There was a couple of these shows I wasn't really into. Like, just like you, I wasn't that excited for Loki. I actually agree with you, Gabe. I thought he was done. I was like, we saw him in like 5 or 6 movies. Like, why do we need more Loki? And this show proved us wrong. Like, he had a lot more to give us. So, is there any other lingering thoughts, guys? Anything else you guys want to bring up?
Yeah. So there's so many. Like what? So
hold on a notepad. Actually.
So what is the point of season 2 of Loki? Is to rebuild the TVA. Is it going to be, you know, pruning all the different variants of Kang? Like where's that going? So that would be my first guess was they're gonna like almost like go to different types of branches and realities and multiverses and be introduced to a new Kang of the Week. And, you know, they have to stop him somehow, right? Like, that's my first guess. I don't know.
Well, to your point, I'm actually curious where Ren Ravenslayer went. She went to go find free will, but, you know, I'm sure season 2 will have some surprises for us. So
she is working. So she's the love interest of Kang. So she's 100% working for Kang. And she's kind of like his secret weapon where she is going to do everything she can. She's like the pawn that doesn't want to admit that she's a pawn. And she's going to do everything she can to make sure that variant of Kang is the one that wins at the end. Because what's coming is the War of Kangs. That is going to be just this pure spectacle. Kang versus Kang. And I think he said there's infinite billions of Kangs out there. It's just going to be awesome. I mean, so that would be my guess is like, what's the point of the TVA? It is probably to start pruning all these different Kangs. And, you know, I could see like Kang wearing glasses one week. Then, Jonathan Majors. Then the next week, he's like the surfer dude. Then the next week, he's like, you know, a banker. It's going to be awesome.
Well, with that, you know, after all that, man, I can't wait for this second season. I'm like chomping at the bit, and we just watched the finale. 12 hours, maybe 12 hours ago for some people. Gabe, any final thoughts for you, man?
Yeah, I'll get into my negatives, so everybody can hate me in peace.
I have negatives too. I'll piggyback off.
Okay, I deeply dislike Jonathan Mayer's performance. Like,
really? Okay.
He annoyed the hell out of me, especially because of my second nitpick, which is this episode was just one big long conversation.
It was a lot of exposition.
It was all exposition. It was all like, this is what's going to happen. Again, I'm sorry, but it's just telling you what's going to happen in the next movie. Because to me, the moment where she kills him, I was just like, of course she's going to kill him, because he just told you what the plot of the next movie was going to be. So of course the plot of the next movie is going to happen. So being delivered by him, he was chewing the scenery, too jokey. And I don't know anything about Kang. This is the first time I've seen or read, or I just heard Jonathan Mayer had been cast for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. But other than that, I didn't know anything about Kang. So to me, him showing up, I was like, oh, that's the guy who's going to be in Ant-Man. But I didn't know anything else. But I don't know if that's how he is in the comics, but like, he was just like too much to me. And it was 25 minutes probably of him delivering exposition, probably, right?
Give or take, yeah.
It got to a point when I was just like, enough. I mean, and the fact that there's going to be many of him, you know, as you were saying, guys, like, it's going to give him some freedom to play different kinds of characters. So maybe the other ones won't be as annoying. But here, I just couldn't do it. And I do think this episode could have been the last 10 minutes of the prior episode. Like, there was no need to have a full episode for this.
Well, to your point, Gabe, it kind of gave me vibes of the architect in The Matrix Reloaded, where you're like sitting in front of him and he's just shooting like babble at you for like 15 minutes, and then it gives you the ultimatum.
Yes.
So to your point,
it gives you like it gives you what he has to do for the next movie to happen.
Yeah.
And the architect was probably half the length of this, or 1/3 of the length.
Yeah.
So imagine what that was like for me.
But like just to counter that a little bit, I feel like his performance is going to be a counter to the menacing Kang that we will get. And personally, I don't know, I like Jonathan Majors as an actor, so I guess I'm a little biased with his performance. I thought it was fine. I did think he was a little bit too jokey, like a little bit too on the nose, like, hey, I'm just a normal guy, just trying to save our universe. And like, yeah, maybe that was kind of beaten to death a little bit, but overall, it didn't hinder my enjoyment of the episode, if that makes sense. Dive, any thoughts on that?
Yes. So that's not the evil. He even said that. Like, he's not even nearly the most evil of the variants. So I think that was a point. I don't think at all, like, that was the immortus of Kang. Like, you're going to get Kang the Conqueror moving forward, which is going to be a completely different version of what you're seeing. And I agree with you, Gabe. Like, I was surprised because that's not, like, at least in my head, because I don't have an infinite amount of knowledge with Kang. I have a little bit. And that was an interesting kind of introduction. I was like, what is going on right now? That was definitely interesting. So negatives, we didn't get Mobius on the jet ski, and I'm really upset about it. I've been wanting it since episode
That is
1.
something that that was annoying as hell, because they kept setting up the damn jet ski. Like, it was going to happen. And then that's the thing about, like, set up for the next thing. It's just like, you set up the jet ski, like, you don't set something up to like pay off in this next season. Like, seasons have to, have a structure. So they set up the jet ski only to him. Also, the conflict between him and I forgot her, Ravenna, right?
Right.
Didn't end in anything. Nothing. We don't know what's going on with her. We don't know, like, and of course we're gonna be there watching the next movie because we're us. But, like, it's kind of annoying if you think about it for.
And really quickly, Gabe, to your point, because I more or less enjoyed the finale, but to your point, the scene where they find her in another universe as a teacher, that was kind of a throwaway scene. It was interesting, but they didn't follow up on it. And to your point, I think maybe we could have cut the exposition by 10 to 15 minutes. Yeah. I would have loved to see how the hell B-15 ended up in Ohio. I would have loved to see, like, why Mobius figured out that she was in Ohio based off the pen. There's just a couple things there where it was kind of left unanswered. And I agree, Gabe. We could have had more time spent on that versus Kang talking to us for like 20 minutes, whatever it was. So,
and my other negative was that final decision between the Lokis when Sylvie sent Loki out. Like, I get that's like, the baseline of what makes a Loki. Clear, like, at the end of the day, Sylvie couldn't trust Loki. Loki couldn't be one to be trusted. And I wish there could have been something moving forward, and it probably will. It probably will in season 2. And it kind of goes back to your point, Gabe, that, like, this was truly set up. This was truly the launching point for Phase 4, like the Fellowship of the Ring. Where it's just like, this is where we're going. Whereas, like, WandaVision had a beginning, middle, and end, and it ended so beautifully well. So, yeah, I can't deny that. But, there were still emotional moments in this series. There were still crazy memorable moments in this series. And Falcon and Winter Soldier was also a lot of build-up. It was more about setting up the Thunderbolts. It was more about setting up Black Panther 2. So, yeah.
I actually have a question for Gabe.
Yeah.
So how fondly do you look at Back to the Future?
Oh, it's everything. for me. Everything.
Okay, so I'm not trying to compare apples and oranges here, but when Doc pulls up at the end of Back to the Future and says, "We gotta go, Marty. It's your kids. It's your kids, Marty. We gotta go." And then they shoot off into the sky, and you just know there's going to be a continuation of the story. How would that compare? Do you think that film is just all set up, or?
No, I don't think it's all set up. But that is a great point to make, because the movie just ends it gets to a point, and then and then it feels like they could have had only one Back to the Future, and if it ended there, it would have been fine, because it's the ending of we're still time travelers. I don't think they were thinking of a trilogy when they shot that scene, but I don't know the facts behind it. But I don't think they were thinking of that. I thought, to me, that ending is just he's become a time traveler, and now he comes from future. He has crazy sunglasses, and the car flies.
Yeah.
Because probably they didn't have the budget to go full, let's go to the future stuff for the first movie. So let's just do one shot of the car flying, and that's all we got, right? But and also, for example, Back to the Future Part 2 ends, and it also doesn't end. But it has a tagline that says "to be concluded," right? It says "to be concluded." This thing, it won't never be concluded. This thing's just gonna keep going on.
Yeah,
it's fun. Again, I made my peace with it, because I am going to watch the rest, and it made me more excited to watch the rest. Whatever they do, I'm gonna watch it, right?
Yeah. In their defense, there was a post-credit scene that said Loki will return.
Yeah. And I think a huge part of this is the fact that we're getting Fantastic Four. We're getting that connective tissue between Marvel and Sony. We're getting the connective tissue between the X-Men down the line. That is a huge part of this finale. So I can't say you're wrong, Gabe. You're 100% right. But in terms of what is the better show, you could be very well right, and it could be WandaVision stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can really like something and also find the negatives, and that's what I always do. And you could also dislike something and find the positives. And sometimes, I'm just trolling you guys. I mean, in the group chat, just trolling you, especially AJ, but and Amanda, but just to troll people. But I really did enjoy it, but there's many things that you need to understand going in to enjoy going forward. And in WandaVision, I was very disappointed when I saw that this was a trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And here I was just this is another trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and potentially Spider-Man Far From Home, and potentially
Ant-Man.
Definitely Ant-Man and Fantastic Four, the 20,000 other movies. Now that I'm, I'm in it and I realize what it was, let's just do it. But I do think, if we have time to get into a concept that I was writing an article about, I don't know how you guys are on time, but I have something I was thinking about.
Go for it, man. Take the floor.
Right now we have in franchise filmmaking, right? So we're talking Marvel, Star Wars, DC, all this stuff, right? We have forgotten the context of beginning, middle, end.
Yeah.
Of endings, of finality, of closure. Because remember when you asked me Back to the Future to me, it's something that happened, it ended. Back to the Future was something that started in the 80s and in the 80s. But I tried to think this morning of other things that started and ended in the 80s, or started and ended in the last 10 years or so, and nobody's thinking up the next thing. Right? When they did a new Terminator movie, they made a third Terminator movie. They were like, okay, but we're going to do 5 more. And this is just the start of the other 5. And then when they did Blade Runner 2049, even it felt like they were probably considering doing another one. However good or bad those movies are, it's just the concept of ending something. And with Marvel, it makes sense because we know that it's such a vast universe of 20,000 projects. But with other things, how do you guys feel like sometimes these comic book properties or these genre properties just don't end? They just
Fast and Furious.
Exactly.
Fast and Furious.
Because we're 2 movies away from ending this thing, and we have the Hobbs and Shaw sequel, and Vin Diesel's talking about a musical, and the Dominic Toretto solo movie.
Make it stop.
Money talks.
Yes, exactly. It's just, it's just something else.
I mean, that's the beauty of Kevin Feige, and that's the beauty of Dave Filoni. That actually understand. Whereas, you could have movie upon movie upon movie, but at the end of the day, it boils back down to like having a clear vision and a clear storyboard of great character development, and that's what those two do. And I can't be more impressed with how Endgame ended, pun intended, and the fact that like you have all these amazing 10 plus years of character arcs. How do you one up that? He's literally introducing character building, character developing stories to continue into Phase 4, which may or may not have an Avengers movie. It probably won't, which is pretty crazy to think about.
Which I'd be fine with. I'd be completely fine with if there's no Avengers.
But you're 100% right, Gabe, is that there is a you look at Star Wars, the latest, this latest sequel, like there's clearly zero communication, zero leadership, zero idea of what their beginning, middle, and end point was. And that's kind of why we're really excited, like AJ, Loretto, and I are about Star Wars and how Dave Filoni has taken that next step as leadership with that franchise. But it is part of Hollywood. Money talks, man. They're gonna keep pumping out Fast and Furious movies until they're fucking on Pluto, and I'm all here for it. So I am guilty as well.
We all are.
I have two thoughts, Gabe. For one, I was one of those idiots that was very excited for the Dark universe that Universal was trying to do with Johnny Depp, Russell Crowe, Javier Bardem as the Wolfman and the Invisible Man. I was on board. I was like, fuck yeah, give me that universe. And to an extent, though, it might be kind of a blessing in disguise that failed so miserably because I think it showed Hollywood, and to an extent, DCEU also showed this. It's not exactly easy, nor is it wise to try to manifest a universe such as Marvel did. So I think, as unprecedented as it is right now, I don't think we'll ever see it done properly again the way it is. Maybe Star Wars has a leg to stand on, but
you know what? I want to go ahead. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Really quick. That's also why. We have those franchises, those tentpoles, but to me, I'm excited for the end of this year because we do have Last Night in Soho. We have The French Dispatch by Wes Anderson. Like those kind of stories, I will relish more because it steps so far away from this united storytelling. So I think the normal films that will come out and have come out, Minari, Judas and the Black Messiah, those stories mean so much more now than ever. And that kind of cinema, I really hope doesn't go away. So it's a double-edged sword, Gabe. Like the tent poles will make the money.
Muted.
I think. Oh yeah, hello. You got me. I think for traditional film storytelling. So go ahead, Debs.
I just want to piggyback off of that, and Gabe, I think about like how everything like has to fall in line. And like the TV series that we're re-binging right now is Game of Thrones. The first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones was some of the most epic, big screen, small screen, story-wise, unpredictability, just engrossing television that we probably will never see again. I don't think we'll ever see that again in terms of just character development, just engrossing. Just plot lines and all these different things. So I also think about that because we were rewatching that. We just finished season 4, and it probably won't ever happen again. Just like the MCU at this stage. In terms of like other franchises trying to replicate that, like everything has to go right, top to bottom, and you just don't see that anymore. You don't see that level of like down the road thinking. That process anymore.
Yeah, and I like just to kind of hammer it home, I think studios would be wise to not try to replicate this. Really quick, Gabe, you can go ahead, but I want to say hi to Jay Pasta. Thanks for joining the stream. He's predicting that in Ant-Man 3 we will get the strongest version of Kang the Conqueror. That would be exciting.
I agree.
I think Menacing Kang is going to be a hell of a thing to watch. But go ahead, Gabe.
No, I was just gonna say, even Game of Thrones is getting a sequel show. Well, not a sequel, but a prequel show. The Lord of the Rings is getting a prequel show. Stuff that ended, like the Lord of the Rings. The ending is 25 minutes long, whatever. But like, it ended. Like this is how this ends. Like we don't need more. The Hobbit, fine, whatever. It's already. We knew the Hobbit happened. It was there. But like right now, we're getting more and more, and I don't know. I just miss sometimes that sense of, okay, it's over. Let's move on to the next thing. Not that I don't enjoy the MCU. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not saying I don't enjoy what we watch. I'm just saying that feeling of, okay, it's done. I can move on.
So the question
I'm going to be excited if 5 years from now the MCU is the only existing universe running. That would be fantastic. No more kaiju, no more Harry Potter. But you know what? Like Dibes keeps repeating, money talks, and we'll see where we're at 10 years from now, right? So,
like, what is the realistic endpoint for the MCU? Does anybody have any clue what that looks like?
Yes, the first box office bomb.
I mean,
I don't see how it ends.
There's so many.
It's like the sacred timeline.
Let's assume, for example, because right now people will watch whatever the MCU puts out. I think we're at that point, like, Black Widow, it's probably a smaller film and it still did pretty well. But let's assume Shang-Chi and the Eternals both bomb, right? They won't, but let's assume, right? They have, after that, 5 more films in the pipeline. They might start reconsidering because they keep adding shows. They keep adding. I mean, they might. I mean, because listen. Okay, that's another thing I was thinking while watching this show. And I just bring out my thoughts. But while I was watching Loki, I was thinking, okay, Loki's great. I really enjoyed it. Most audiences are not going to watch, Loki, Miss Marvel, Moon Knight, all those, and then go watch Doctor Strange, right? Like they're just casual viewers. Some people might watch Loki, some people might watch Doctor Strange, but the majority of people are not like the 3 of us, right? So to what point are we talking about too much money spent on a show for a niche audience? Like how long are you going to keep this up of like a new MCU show every month or so? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they're going for.
I just think that a couple bombs is not going to hurt this $1 billion franchise. I feel like if Eternals flops, Shang-Chi flops, if nobody watches Ms. Marvel, X-Men is still coming. Fantastic Four is still coming. And I will give a 0.0% chance that Spider-Man flops. So I think we're going to be okay for a long while. Thor, Love and Thunder.
Will flop. Yeah,
Guardians
exactly.
Volume 3.
Exactly. No, I mean, I'm just saying, hypothetically, if there was a flop, like a true flop, they might reconsider. It seems highly unlikely, I agree, but what if it did?
Right. No, and it's just funny too. I've gotten to the point where I can't see the machine breaking down. It's like the never-ending machine on a Snowpiercer. The train, the engine keeps running, So
forever, and we're here
forever
for it.
and ever.
As long as it's still good. Because it's had weaker chapters. To me, it was the Falcon and Winter Soldier. To you, probably whatever, Captain Marvel or whatever, right? It has weaker movies, or shows, but ultimately there's a certain level of quality that has maintained that no franchise has ever maintained. Because if you watch every Star Wars movie, even the original trilogy, like I don't believe Return of the Jedi is a strong movie. Or you watch the Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight Rises is weaker than the other two. But here they've maintained certain consistency that just keeps you coming back.
Right.
How about this? Does anybody remember this?
Yes.
Like this was such a big deal when in 2014 or so when they announced this. Like, oh my God, Batman versus Superman. Look at this slate of amazing projects.
Oh my God, Suicide Squad. Yeah. The Flash in 2018.
They went all in, and it just, they shot the bed. They completely look at Green Lantern Corp. Look at poor Cyborg just chilling in 2020. It's just a shame. It's just a shame.
Yeah, I mean, unless they really hit a wall, guys, I think Black Widow is a testament to the fact that the quality is going to stay there. I think Black Widow, if Black Widow flopped, if Black Widow sucked, I think, that would have been an interesting fuel to your fire there, Gabe. But I loved Black Widow for the most part. I really enjoyed it.
I adored it. I would put it like
that makes me happy. I really enjoyed it.
Guys, you didn't read my review. Oh, Lo, you did. You did.
I read your review. Yeah. Great. And you hit some really good points.
I loved it. I just had too much fun. I loved it. It feels almost like two movies. I mean, we're not talking about Black Widow, but it feels like two movies in the sense like there's the outrageous action, and then you have like this really long conversation between David Harbour and Florence Pugh. Like they start singing, and it's just like I love that movie. I
enjoyed it.
Man. Who knew Sheriff Hopper would become the Red Guardian? Shouts out to BTD6 Gizmo. He says Jonathan Majors as Kang is a good choice, especially putting him as a Mortis, like Dives has been saying. I think we've pretty much reached the end of the road here, guys. Gabe, thanks for joining, man. You're one of my favorite people to talk to. I really appreciate your insight, and you're a hell of a writer yourself. What else you got going on, Gabe? And where can people find you?
People can find me at Film Opinionitis, as you see it written right there. I'm here at the Painted Lines with Cinespection. Although we're going to have a season finale like yesterday or today, but my co-host John is busy because he's getting married Saturday. So
what a
probably
bitch.
Congratulations, John of Cinespection. Congratulations.
Yeah. SOB let me alone, so we won't be able to talk Black Widow for now, but we'll be back in around a month when he's back from his honeymoon. You also have my site where you can read all my reviews, so I'll probably be more active there right now that I won't have the Cinespection to talk. And I love joining you guys. This was great. I'm sorry that I'm not as geeky as I don't have all the knowledge sometimes, but I know some stuff.
Hey, no worries. At the end of the day, we're reviewing film and TV properties, and you're more than welcome to break it down with us. So thank you, Gabe. Dives, how you doing, sir? Where can people find you? What you got going on for us, man?
Don't follow me. All right. No, but Mr. Crockpot.
Follow him.
Follow him. Everybody,
those baby pictures.
Everybody, just click on Mr. Crockpot. He's great.
I've got a 3 things we learned. I've been doing these 3 things we learned, 5 things we learned type of written posts since WandaVision. Those will continue. I did one with Black Widow as well with film. Probably going to turn my one here into the video probably tomorrow. Just because video is fun. But yeah, you can check me out at thepaintlines.com. I do a shit ton of content over there every day. I'll be back tomorrow. So the grind is real until we hit 10,000 subscribers. Then I can maybe go on a honeymoon like John, but we'll see.
What is it that Thanos says he's going to do when he retires? Sit down and watch a thankful universe, or what is it? Whatever he says.
So awesome. You can follow me on Twitter at Marcellus Durden, and you can follow us at the Suit Up Geeks on Twitter, also on YouTube at the Suit Up Geeks. I can't wait till Ryan gets back from his vacation and AJ gets a break from work, so we can all come back together as the Suit Up Geeks on this wonderful podcast. As always, thank you everybody for watching. This was the finale of Loki, but please stay tuned. We have more Bad Batch reviews coming up, Monsters at Work, and we have a wonderful women character draft on the 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Lots of wonderful female creators that will have joining us in a 10-team draft. Go ahead, man.
And what if reviews are coming? Marvel's what if? Oh man, that is really high on my anticipation list. We're going to be doing what if reviews 100%.
Hell yeah. So, the geeky stuff, it's going to keep coming. Please stay tuned for all that. For Dibes, for Gabe, and myself, we'll catch you guys next time. Have a good night.